Alrighty, we'll jump right into it. Angry Bears fan episode, or Angry Bears fan podcast with episode 29 now, almost at 30. Oh man, I gotta start clocking these so I know like when we're gonna be where. But not much has happened. Just gonna discuss what's going on with the Bears. White Sox are still in disarray. Cubs are coming back down to reality. The Blackhawks got the number one pick in the NHL draft. To kind of fuel the flames that everyone was saying that the draft is rigged. Like I've been feeling like everyone's been saying since like 6 months ago that the NHL was going to rig the draft so the Blackhawks could have the number one pick because they were
and get
losing.
Connor and get Connor Bedard.
Yeah, because they were losing Kane and Tays, and then it happened. So
Can you imagine for the first time in history that a sports team is going to has the opportunity to have the number one overall pick in the same calendar year in three major sports? The Bears did it with the NFL, the Blackhawks did it with the NHL, and the NBA draft lottery is coming up, and the Bulls have a 1.8% chance of getting the number one overall pick, which is the same percentage they had when they got the number one overall pick and drafted Derrick Rose.
honestly, that's the only thing that probably can save the Bulls franchise from mediocrity for like the next 5 years is that by the grace of God they hit on one of these draft picks. And they won't
Well,
even have one if it's not top three, right?
yeah, they need a top three.
Uh-oh. But all right, we'll get into that later before we close out. The Bears, that's what everybody's here for. The Bears, the schedule was released. The Chiefs backed out of our Germany game, right? And they switched it with or something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
the Chiefs did not want to play the Bears in Germany because the Bears fan base is just too good. It would have been a home game for Chicago in Germany if that were the case. No team in the NFL wants to play the Bears overseas. Nobody.
yeah, I think this goes back to a show me and you both like, How I Met Your Mother, where it's like the '80s of the United States is popular everywhere else. So the people still think around the world that the Bears are actually good because they won in '85. Um, but yeah, I didn't. I was looking that up, and yeah, Germany does like they say the Bears fan, London, everywhere. The Bears fans come out heavy. I don't know why that is. Like I said, we haven't really been relevant. We haven't even had like an exciting player outside of like Devin Hester for 2 seasons, where like we should be gaining that much notoriety overseas. My only guess is, like I said, it's a running joke that the '80s, like Canada's, the '80s didn't come to Canada until the '90s or whatever. So fucking, I'm guessing that's kind of what's going on, where like teams think like the Bears are the '85 Bears are one of the most popular teams historically, and it's kind of rubbing off. But that was kind of it was weird. Honestly, I feel like on the Chiefs, it don't matter who they play, but
Yeah, instead, NFL's opening game is going to be Chiefs and Lions.
well, nice big
Uh,
win for the Chiefs to start off the year.
so an official VP for the NFL, they pretty much said the reason why they did that is because um, there's a lot of hype surrounding Detroit, and they wanted to put them to the test early. So that's why they made that game. As you said earlier, the Bears schedule was released. Go over it a little bit. Week 1, we are at home, and that is against Green Bay. Week 2, we are at Tampa Bay. Week 3, we are at Kansas City. Week 4, we are at home against Denver. Week 5 is a rematch of a terrible Thursday night football game. We are at Washington for that. Week 6 is at home against Minnesota. Week 7 is home against the Raiders. Week 8 is in LA against the Chargers. That is a Sunday night football game. Week 9 is at New Orleans. Week 10 is another Thursday night football game against the Panthers. That's at home. Week 11 is at Detroit, and then we have a bye week 12. Week 13, we are at Minnesota. Week 14, we're at home against Detroit. Week 15, we are at Cleveland. That is a flex game. It's to be determined. Week 16 is at home against Arizona. Week 17 is at home against Atlanta. And week 18. So we start the season against Green Bay and we end the season against Green Bay. We will be at Green Bay in another flex spot. That start time is to be determined as well. So I thought it was interesting that they started and ended the season against Green Bay. I'm assuming that some of the hype around the Bears for the NFL is real. They may feel that way. But Jordan Love's first start as a franchise quarterback against Justin Fields, who needs to prove that he's the franchise guy. How important is that opening game going to be?
I think for Jordan Love will be very big. I think it's big for Justin Fields as well. I honestly, Justin Fields has probably got, I would say, the most pressure on him as the starting quarterback. Maybe like Justin Herbert, um, just because his payday's coming up, or maybe Lamar Jackson. But Justin Fields and Jordan Love have a lot to prove. It's going to be a big Week 1 game for the Bears and for the Packers. He's taken over for what the hell was that commercial? Was that the Megalodon? Sorry. He's taken over for Aaron Rodgers. He's got a really good team. They got a solid O line, top 10 running back. So receiving core, but it's a work in progress. They and the defense is top 10, so there's really no excuses for him. Justin Fields also had all his excuses removed. The defense is still a work in progress, but they'll be more than adequate to, at least be holding people under 30 points. And the offense, we got a number 1 wide receiver who drafted a right tackle who I think is going to be a cornerstone. I think Braxton Jones proved that he's at least a top 15 tackle in the NFL. And I expect each and every one of those guys who were on the team last year to take a step forward. So just on that assumption, everyone's going to be better. So no excuses for Jordan Love or Justin Fields. We always open up Week 1 against the Packers. Finally, it's not against Aaron Rodgers. He's ripped our hearts out like 3 of the last 4 years where we're beating the ever living shit out of them. And he's like, and he gets hurt, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to come back in the game and win it. And so I think this year, I think Week 1, I think we're going to get that win. What I like about Justin Fields, what I've always liked about him, is I think those personal rivalries, those wins are important to him. He played Ohio State. Ohio State versus Michigan is arguably the biggest rivalry in the country. I mean, the Bears and Packers is close. Both of those are top 5. You know what I mean? However you want to rank them. They're 2 of the biggest rivalries across sports. He dominated the one in Michigan versus Ohio State, and I have a feeling he wants to. You know what I mean? He wants to do that as well. And it's his time now. There's no more excuses. No Aaron Rodgers. No. Maybe the O-line will be bad. No bad wide receivers. No inept defense. And like I said, the same thing goes for Jordan Love. He's got a lot of pressure on him. He's got 2 or 3 years to sit, and it's time to pay the piper.
Yeah. This could be the start of something amazing. Justin Fields needs to come and prove that he's the guy. Jordan Love, like you said, man, he's taken over after a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's put up or shut up time for him. I don't think Green Bay is going to get lucky with a 3rd straight Hall of Fame quarterback, but with the Bears' luck, it's a very good. I mean, for the last 31 years, it's been Hall of Fame quarterback play for the Green Bay Packers. So, now it's time to come back to reality a little bit.
And not only Hall of Fame quarterback, like they showcase their magic against the Bears more so than anybody. I felt like
it's argumentative. It's very arguable. You can make the point that both those quarterbacks for Green Bay, definitely Aaron Rodgers in the top 10 of all time in terms of quarterbacks. You can make the case for Brett Favre.
Definitely is the case. Yeah,
probably like top 7 of all time. Like it's absolutely ridiculous how lucky they've gotten. We talked about it a little bit. The Chiefs got their wish. They're not going to play the Bears in Germany. We touched base a little bit as of why the Bears with a big fan base following. You touched up on it a little bit in terms of why you thought that was. I just find it funny because the Chiefs were dead set and complaining to the NFL office that they did not want to play the Bears in Germany, and they ended up getting their wish. They got a little bit of preferential treatment. They are the Super Bowl, the reigning Super Bowl champions, and they got the NFL's poster boy in Patrick Mahomes. So I really think that the NFL schedule makers made concessions for them. I think it was going to be a win for the Chiefs anyway. I don't know if they wanted to, necessarily go pretty much have a home game that's going to be an away game for them.
Yeah. Like I said, to me, I guess it didn't matter. They're going to beat us anyway. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I thought the 49ers were going to kick our ass Week 1, but we got a monsoon. Maybe we'll get another one. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't really get it. I don't know. I don't understand the rule. Why are you making a schedule just to let them switch? Like to look at their schedule and be like, you know what? We don't want to do that. Like, what the fuck? Why aren't y'all asking before? before he released the schedule. So like, it's not preferential treatment. Like I understand. Like I honestly get you being like, oh, they're the Chiefs. You know what I mean? They want to. You know, they got, like you said, they got Patrick Mahomes. They just won the Super Bowl. They've been dominating the league. They've been, you know what I mean? They've been show, you know what I mean? Highlighting the NFL in a positive fashion. You know, if you want to call them like, hey, we're thinking about scheduling you guys for the Bears week 3, and Jeremy, you and Andy Reid or whoever discuss it. Let us know. Come back before we release this shit. But releasing it and letting them switch, like you said, like shows like super preferential treatment.
From what I understand too, I guess the city of Kansas City itself kind of made a plea with the league because they didn't want, since the Bears travel so well.
Oh, okay.
They didn't want to lose the business in the city of Kansas City because that would have been a lot of money.
Yeah,
leaving that city.
Yeah, that's anywhere though. With Bears fans show up everywhere.
Well, I mean, you go to Miami. If the Bears play Miami in Miami, it's a Bears home game. There's more Bears fans than there are Dolphins fans down there. A little bit on the side note here. So Roschon Johnson continues to make waves in the organization for being a natural locker room leader and mouthpiece. I've heard a lot of things this past week and a half about Roschon Johnson and just what he brings to the locker room, what he brings to the table in the field. Is this the dawn of a new era in Chicago?
I do think so. It's going to be, I think, like we've talked about in the past, I think it's going to be a more offensive led. You know what I mean? I don't think there's going to be any more monsters of midway. I'm not saying we're giving up on the defense, but I think we're going to build beyond Justin Fields. We're going to have elite talent on the offensive end and make it work on defense. And I like Roschon Johnson. I think this is the reason they passed on Jalen Carter. They want guys who are going to be positive influences, who aren't going to be distractions. I was just reading Jalen Carter's got pictures where he's throwing up blood, or I don't know.
It's a video.
I'm trying not to judge people too much. I'm far from a saint, so you know what I mean. I've done a lot worse than throw up blood, but it's still just not a good look. You know, it just shows like this kid's got, what did he just get, $22 million guaranteed? He can't, you know what I mean, be a good kid for, if you can't be a good kid for $21 million guaranteed, what makes you think you're going to keep your head on straight? You know what I mean, to get that $100 million contract that you're going to get.
It shows a level of immaturity.
Yes.
That was a very good reasoning why the Bears passed on him. And ironically enough, in that same video, you can see Keely Ringo, his former Georgia teammate that the Philly ended up drafting. You can see him in the back seat. He's rolling up a blunt.
Oh, wow. That's why he fell too, right? He fell like 2 rounds farther than people thought.
And Nolan Smith was also in the car. You know what I'm saying? So it was just the Georgia boys.
I didn't realize though that's who was in the car with him. I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't even know that.
It was Keely Ringo and Nolan Smith were in the car with him, and he's about to be sued. He's being sued for a wrongful death. And it's just, a lot of stuff going on. And we were critical of the pick a little bit because we wanted a little bit more since we knew Philly was going to take Jalen Carter. We wanted a little more in the trade wise, but kind of looking back, you can understand why the decision was made. We understood the decision at the time anyway, but any Bears fans that are looking back and are like, why did we pass up a generational talent like Jalen Carter? You can kind of see why and some of the things that he's doing off the field.
Yes. The Eagles were in a much better position with us. They could realistically afford for him to be a bust.
Yeah.
He's their third DT right now, and they're stacked. And they've got picks on days, and they've got a young team. It's like we cannot afford for our number 10 overall pick to not be like a bona fide starter. Maybe not a Pro Bowler but he's got to be a bona fide starter that's going to make plays, impact starter. And the Eagles could afford for him not to even play at all this year. He's now he's the third guy on their roster. I mean, their depth chart is a defensive tackle. I mean, Fletcher Cox obviously won. Jordan Davis was a similar caliber of prospect as Jalen Carter was. I mean, he's bigger, faster, and stronger, and more productive in college. So we'll see. We like you said, we just couldn't afford to have an immature player on our team like that. I hate to judge guys like that because, again, I don't come from the best of circumstances and I understand what that's like, but these guys got to be accountable. It'd be nice for people to be able to lead 2 lives and be a gangbanger and gangster off the field and then it not fuck with what you're doing on the field, but that's never really the case. What was it like? Aaron Hernandez was like the only person ever in history to be able to lead that secret life of being a murderer and a football player. So, and it's like, why would you even want to do that? That gives me cause for concern. It's one thing to do that out of necessity. You don't got nothing better going on. It's like that dude. What did he just get $21 million guaranteed? What are
It's
you
the
throwing
people
up?
around,
Yes.
it's the people around you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be handed the keys to the kingdom, but if you bring your entourage with you, the people that drug you down before you made it, and I understand you never want to forget where you came from. If you want to help out your community, that's one thing. But you can't hang out, you can't bring your boys with you
If they're not
when
gonna respect that,
exactly.
like that's $21 million guaranteed. Like, I mean, even if you're an idiot, you just invested it. He's gonna be fine for the rest of his life. Like he get him. It's like, and if he doesn't blow his knee out, he's a shoe in for $100 million contract. I mean, unless he's terrible. But
He's giving me
even if he's a
he's
little
giving
bit
me
above
Albert.
Albert
Go ahead.
Hainsworth, go ahead, Albert.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 he's
but
giving me
maybe,
Albert Hansworth vibes, bro, like big time. I don't know
maybe.
why.
But like I said, if you can't keep your head on straight for a potential, you know what I mean, $100 million, it's like you got all your whole life. I mean, you going to play football, especially D line, till you're what 35. Like you got your whole life to gangbang and do stupid stuff. Like, but yeah, I like Darnell Wright. I mean, to get back onto our Bears, Darnell Wright's been getting a lot of praise. Like you said, Roshan Johnson, a lot of praise. That's what I had heard about him more than anything, more than his running back ability. I don't really watch Texas play, and I thought that was a Bijan Robinson story. I didn't really know much about him. It was nice to read stuff about him. He was a highly touted prospect. He was a very good running back. They just got Bijan Robinson, and one thing that I do love, I know there's NIL, so he was getting paid anyway, but he did not leave to go to another school. I really like that. That's one thing that I love about Jalen Carter. It's like I don't like this new era of I'm not starting. See ya. Like I don't think that's a good quality. I think it helped us. He's got low miles. He's a great locker room guy, and I want the positive influences around Justin, around everybody. Where instead of hey, let's go out and party after we do practice, there's guys going, oh, let's get one more rep. You know what I mean? Let's go. Anybody want to go run some routes? You know what I mean? Let's shit like that. And
And he came into Texas as a quarterback. He was
yeah.
recruited as a quarterback. So there's a lot of gadget and utilization plays that they can use him inside the red zone. They can run a wildcat with him.
On top
That's
of
a
him being a
very
power back in the red zone too, so
yeah.
it's like yeah.
That would be very interesting to see. I'm excited to see what Luke Getzey can draw up. He's got weapons galore. So it should really literally
Wildcat would be crazy with Justin Fields because him at wide receiver, if you put a linebacker out there, he is barbecuing. Like you cannot
yeah.
guard Justin Fields if the guy can actually throw the ball. You cannot run a linebacker out wide against Justin Fields in a Wildcat because there's no line. Maybe like that, Isaiah Simmons. Like I can't think of a single linebacker that could run with Justin Fields.
No, you're going to have to stick a safety or a corner on him, and he's probably going to burn a safety.
Yeah.
And if you put an actual corner on Justin
Then he's
Fields,
a decoy.
yeah, and that's going to take somebody out of pass coverage. You're going to have a mismatch somewhere. Like I said, it's going to be exciting. I really feel like we're not going to see much in preseason, obviously,
No.
but I expect some dumb, fucking weird Matt Nagy shit. First play of the game, week 1 against Green Bay. Speaking of Justin Fields, there's a lot of talk about the Justin Fields to DJ Moore connection and him taking a Josh Allen type leap. Is this your expectation? Is this the expectation for all of Chicago for Justin Fields to take that leap, or are we just expecting too much?
I think if we're expecting the Josh Allen leap, I think that'd be a little too much because he just had I don't know, man. I'm expecting something like that though. I mean, he made a few mistakes. I mean, he threw a decent amount of interceptions. Nothing crazy that we couldn't live with. There was a lot of short stuff out there. A lot of timing throws that he just wasn't pulling the trigger on. And Eberflus and all of them are saying this year he's taking major strides. I take that with a grain of salt. I've never heard them say anything else about a quarterback in training camp. So, but I have faith in Justin Fields that he is putting in the work. He just seems like a work guy. You don't ever see Justin Fields out doing anything that isn't work or like something clearly that the Bears asked him to do. We saw him at the Cubs game and the Bulls game, but the PR team gave him tickets and told them all to go and to take pictures.
Oh yeah.
So it's like he's all business. You don't see him doing nothing. He doesn't even do interviews. He went on that little run. He don't do those. Like all
he was on the Bears schedule release video.
Yeah, like all he does is work, and I like that. I don't want to see, and I do think he's going to take a step. I don't think DJ Moore is Stephon Diggs, so I don't expect him to take that much of a leap. And I also don't expect the Bears to play the same way the Bills did, where they pass every single play. I think we got a quality run game. Justin Fields is a better runner than Josh Allen, and I don't think we're going to completely abandon that. It would be silly not to. We have to show it every now and then to keep people honest.
So, yeah, that zone read's going to be a
staple, yes,
very big weapon, as well as that pass read option or yes. Pass run option. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be huge in the Luke Getsy playbook this year. And I talked about it a little bit too. They're going to have a little bit of national coverage. People are going to see Justin Fields. The Bears have a total of 4 primetime games with a possibility of 6 primetime games with the 2 flex games against Cleveland, Green Bay. They have 2 Thursday night games this year. This is the first year that they are testing that with teams having 2 Thursday night games. I guess my question is any primetime game a good thing for Chicago, or is this just going to be kind of a little bit of a, the hype train and, maybe they get exposed on national TV. Nobody really watches the Thursday night games anyway. I know they do big numbers, but they don't do, Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football numbers. And there's a lot of weird fucking games on the schedule this year. Like they play Christmas Eve against, it's like the second to last game of the season or something like that against Minnesota or some shit. And then like this year they're doing like a Black Friday game. There's another, not Chicago. They're just doing a Black Friday game in general. And then they're also doing like Saturday games that aren't towards the end of the season.
I didn't see that.
They're doing like a Saturday game midway through the season or some shit like that. The NFL is. Is this an are they trying to overexpose themselves? I don't get it.
I think they are. I think they're inching out each more and more days just to see what people won't tolerate, and then they'll. I don't think the NFL really can mess up because we'll sit here and complain about it right now, but we're all fucking tuning in on Saturday. If it's a good game, we're like, what else we got to do? Like right now, I'm watching the NBA playoffs. Like for me, a person who loves sports, whatever's on, I'm going to watch it, especially if it's a football game and nothing else is on. But yeah, I do think they're stretching themselves a little thin. I don't like you could play Tuesday. I never like Thursday games. I don't really see the point. It's cool like once a year or something, or you're on Thanksgiving or another holiday or things like that. You guys want to try something out, some holiday weekend, whatever. But yeah, I do think like Saturday game for what? I thought it was like a special thing because it was like the playoffs. We have Saturday games, and I think they're just trying to dominate every day of the week on TV during that time. I don't know if they're just trying to ruin baseball. They're just trying
It's also going to fuck up fantasy. I'm assuming they're doing it for sports betting reasons.
College.
Now that they have that partner. Yeah. Now that they have that partnership with, sports books all across the country that have it legalized, I really feel like they're doing this to kind of open up the sports books a little bit because the NFL makes the most money against sports books more than any other sport. So if you're getting action on every single day of the week, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're as opposed to somebody, the casual fan that's betting, all the games are on Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, so they can have their pick of the litter.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it from that side.
If you have games spread out throughout the week, your casual bettor is gonna be like, oh, there's a Saturday NFL game. I'm gonna put a stack down on this. It's I really think it's more of a betting thing, which is kind of fucked up. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna because I watch football every day of the week anyway. I don't give.
And I love gambling too. It's a weird situation because they keep cracking down on the players. I don't know what these guys are thinking anyway. Gambling. For the life of me, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't get how they get caught. You just can't. Like, have your mom make an account? Like, these guys, how are you getting caught? Like, I don't understand.
Cousin,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
that doesn't have your last name.
Yeah, like, even then, like, that it still could be your mom. Like, what is your mom? Like, your mom can't bet on games now because you're in the NFL? Like, they couldn't stop that. Like, so I don't understand. You're right. It does. I didn't even think about it from a gambling perspective, but that makes more sense than anything I was talking about. That it'll be another day because somebody like me, I'm a degenerate gambler, and it's like you're like, oh, I'll bet a couple $100 a day. But like that'll be my limit. If you put another day, like if you just even if you have one game, I'll do like prop bets, all type of crazy shit just on that one game, just to get my fix instead of spreading my bets across 10 games. So I didn't think about it that way because yeah, but I guess college is that day too. So you're all right bet on college games, but NFL games are just more fun to bet on because there's more props, there's more shit going on.
Yeah, like I said, they bring in the most money.
I would have thought college did because college is actually adding like same game parlays and props and all type of crazy stuff too. They didn't have them before, but towards the end of the year this year they had them. They never had same game parlays.
Yeah, but see, with college though, you got majority of the college bettors are diehards.
Yeah.
They're gonna bet on their college team.
I don't bet
not
on
a lot
my
of
team.
college betting experts, but in the NFL, it's global. You got
NFL's got way better spreads too, more realistic ones. College ones are kind of hard. It'd be like Georgia minus 35.5. It's like, how do I know? It's so hard to bet. Like, how do you bet that? Like,
I'm taking whoever it is plus the points.
Yeah, always, and they're getting flooded
every day of the week. In the NFL, the rule of thumb is if it's over 10, if it's double digits, you always take the points, regardless of who the opponents are. You always take the points if you're in double digits. Speaking of which, Green Bay has lost Aaron Rodgers. They no longer have a Hall of Fame quarterback. They're kind of on the downfall a little bit, but yet they picked up 7 primetime games this year. How?
7? That's a lot.
7. Do teams do people just really want to see Jordan Love? Or
I don't know. People, they probably do it. They weren't. I bet you it's like an algorithm they decide based on the views last year, and the Packers probably do numbers. For whatever, probably because of Aaron Rodgers, it probably won't be as popular this year. I'm guessing some of those get flexed. Because I don't envision the Packers winning more than like 7 games. I just don't see it. Even if Jordan Love's above average, I just don't. They don't have really any explosion. Their defense isn't so good. They just run the ball and beat teams like that. They've always been a team that relied on Aaron Rodgers to make a big play in the fourth quarter and drive them down the field and finish them off.
Yeah, I don't understand the Packers having 7 primetime games. Like you said, I think a couple of them will get flexed. I know they have Thanksgiving. And when I say primetime, I mean like nationally covered. Obviously Thanksgiving's not primetime. It's not at 7 p.m., but it's a nationally televised game. They are playing Detroit on Thanksgiving again. And I mean, I'm excited a little bit to see how Jordan Love does throughout the season, even as a Bears fan. I hate the Packers, so I hope he does horrible. But just for the rivalry, I want him to be somewhat good.
Yeah,
because you want to have a competitive rivalry. It gets repetitive and boring after a while when one team dominates the other. That's why Bears fans were so miserable and Green Bay fans were living on cloud 9 for so long. It's nice to have a competitive rivalry where sometimes you can go back and forth. Sure, you want your home team. Like, I want the Bears to win every game. But if it gets to the point where, say, we were to go to a game and we know, it's Bears Packers, but we absolutely positively know the Bears are just going to beat the living shit out of them. Yeah, we're going to have fun, but the competitor in us is going to be like, it's kind of boring because we know we knew it's coming. So looking at the roster, the way it's currently built, do they go into the season as is? Do they add a piece? Do they add 2? Like what do you?
I do think we're gonna add a pass rusher. I think we have to. We still gotta spend like 10 or 15 mil, right, or something like that before the season starts.
I think we gotta spend a lot more. It's by the time the season ends, we have to hit that cash floor.
Okay.
But we still have to hit like $40 million.
Oh wow. So I do, yeah. By that we have to. I really think Poles is patiently waiting to see which one of these disgruntled players or failed 5th-year option guys we can get our hands on. I expect Komet to get an extension by towards the preseason. If Mooney's health gets a clean bill of health when his recovery, I think he'll get one as well. But I guess we'd have to get like Yannick or some kind of pass rusher to give $12 million for the year or something just to come play, just to meet our minimum salary requirements.
Yeah, They have to at least add one. I know we got a couple of nice pieces. We're kind of deep on the defensive line a little bit. Defensive end though, the edge rushers. I mean, they might move Noah Sewell, down to edge every now and then, but we don't have a specialist.
Yeah,
And Yannick would be that specialist. Bring him in on third downs, have him be a rotational piece. Sure, you may not want to pay a rotational piece $12 million, especially when he's 27 years old. He's not really good in the run game, but at the same time, you just paid a bunch of money to a couple of linebackers, one linebacker in particular, to shore up that run game. Plus, you have some pretty physical corners and pretty physical defensive backs that could always, step in and help on the run game as well. So you do need to have an outside presence, especially on passing down. So I do think Yannick is a fit. I would realistically expect him to probably. I don't think he wants to sign a 1 year deal, but I don't think he's going to have a choice.
yeah. It looks like
And
you don't have a choice at this point.
I think that's what the holdup is that he doesn't want to sign a 1 year deal because this will be his like third or fourth team already in the NFL, and he had a career year last year. That doesn't necessarily translate to the fact he's going to have, build off of that and continue that run. So I think 1 or 2 years, Yannick's like, I don't want to sign for 1 or 2 years. I feel like I've proven myself, but he's going to have to because nobody's signing him to a long term
Yeah,
deal. And who better to come play for than your old defensive coordinator?
that's
If you
what I
had,
think. Yeah, I'm assuming. I definitely think we're gonna add somebody there. I don't think there's any linemen to go get. Um, and I really just don't think we have too many holes. Maybe a corner if there's one out there. Um, but yeah, like you said, we have to spend the money. We've only got a couple people we need to re-sign. Jalen Johnson, Komet, Mooney. Like I said, Mooney might get one if he's healthy. I think Komet will for sure will get one. But I think he's going to give us, I won't say a huge discount, but I think it'll be a team-friendly deal. He's from here. He's not a world beater. He just saw what Dalton Schultz went out there and got on the market, and Dalton Schultz was more productive than him. So I think we'll sign Komet, something like that, and we'll end up with Yannick or Leonard Floyd or somebody like that. My hope I've been harping on all year is Chase Young, and we sign and trade for him and re-sign him right away, or Quentin Williams or somebody like that.
Quentin Williams would be a nice piece.
Mm,
But Quentin Williams is going to command a first round pick at least.
yeah,
Chase Young probably not so much,
yeah.
but Quentin Williams, you're definitely giving up one of your first next year for. So taking a look at the schedule, based off the schedule, give me your very early season predictions. Let me hear your win total predictions and just throw out maybe a couple of season stat predictions.
All right, when you were reading them off, I wrote down win loss, win loss. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got the Bears going 9-8. I think Justin Fields is going to pass for 3,700 yards and run for 600, 700 with 29 passing touchdowns. I like 5 to 7 on the ground.
That's really weird. And just so everybody knows, we're doing this on the fly. And
I literally just wrote these down. I mean, I thought the 3,700 and the 700 I have had in my head before, but all this I just wrote down. Like I just wrote down right now.
It's just eerily like we're kind of eerily similar in terms of the season yardage. I realistically expect 3,700 yards in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking 500 to 700 yards on the ground. I expect 30 plus total touchdowns.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Combination air and on the ground. I have them on the low side winning 7, on the high side winning 10. I just some of these games, like if it was in Atlanta, I would be a little bit more concerned. But we played them in Atlanta last year and we had nobody. Like this is a much better team. They still, they added some pieces around them, but they're still they still got an unproven guy, Desmond Ridder, who is even more unproven than Justin Fields. So for me, that's a win. Tampa is going to be in the running for the number 1 overall pick next year. I really think the Bears start off 2-0, and they have a real possibility to start 4-1
Yeah,
because
Denver is no world beaters.
no, you got the win against Green Bay, win against Tampa, loss against Kansas City in Kansas City, win against Denver, and a win against Washington at Washington, because Washington is going with Sam Howell.
And they beat us on the last play of the game, and again, we were awful.
Exactly. And then, you do kind of go into a little bit of a rough stretch, weeks 8 through 11 before the bye, because you're at the Chargers, you're at New Orleans, you're playing Carolina Thursday Night Football, and then you're at Detroit, a much improved Detroit team that has the possibility. New Orleans is always a tough place to play in New Orleans.
I've that as a loss for us, New Orleans.
Yeah,
I don't know why they don't. Who do they have a quarterback? Derek Carr. Like I said, they're not crazy good, but Derek Carr's good enough, and I just feel like in New Orleans we lose that game.
In that stretch, I can see them losing those 3 road games and picking up a win at home against Carolina on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I had us splitting with everybody in the division. I think we'll split for whatever. Just statistically, I just think that's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I think we're better than the Packers, but I don't think. Yeah,
Arizona's going to have Arizona season. By that time. They will have Kyler Murray back.
He won't be playing.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. Even if he does, it'll be maybe his first or second game back, and he's still going to have some rust on it. It really depends on how Deshaun Watson looks in Cleveland for that game. But yeah, low side 7, high side 10.
I got 9. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to win. We got a pretty easy schedule. I mean, Tampa is pretty sweet. Atlanta, New Orleans, or not New Orleans, but Carolina. Those guys are all pretty sweet. I think we can beat all of them. I
think we should go to that Thursday Night Football game against Carolina.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll circle that. Maybe. I don't see why not. We should go to a game this year. Thursday would be fun. I don't think I've ever been to a Thursday game.
Well, and realistically, I'm trying to think of like the cheapest tickets that we can find, because I don't think they're going to be that expensive to play Carolina.
All right. I posted this on Bleacher Report. I wanted to ask you, I don't know how close to the end we are, but before we close it out, would you rather the Bears make it to the playoffs and lose in the wild card round, or the Carolina Panthers be the worst team in the league? And I know, honestly, we could have both, but I'm just saying, more than likely, we won't get both. We could in theory, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But
if I had to choose one, it's easily Carolina be the worst team in the league.
I knew you were going to say that, because I think the opposite. I think easily, to me, I think it's the Bears make the wild card, because I think then that would mean Justin Fields is good. And if Justin Fields is good, we don't need the first overall pick, because we'll be a destination. We'll have $1 billion, and we'll still have 2 first-round picks, and we could just trade up to get whoever we wanted.
I understand that. But to counter that point that you have, Justin Fields can still be good, and they can win 9 games, not make the playoffs, and Justin Fields still have a really good year because the defense is still unproven.
Yeah.
But you get that number 1 overall pick next year with the hype. There was no hype for any of these quarterbacks this year. The hype that is being generated by not just Caleb Williams, but Drake May as well, and the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to go number 2 overall next year. You think about the package that we got for the number 1 overall pick from Carolina this year. Imagine what it would be like for the number 1 overall pick next year.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, any pick you have in the top 3 is going to get you more than what we got probably this year. I do want it. I'm just saying, that's why I think it's a good question. Like I outside of the season, it's easy for me to be like, oh, just like last year, I was like, oh, I wanted us to tank. But I feel like every loss hit me in the stomach. Like, even though I wanted to lose all year and I knew we sucked, every game that we were in that we lost, I was mad afterwards. I'm like, we could have all week. I'm like, one fucking throw, we could have won that game. Like, so I just think if I can only have one, I think I would want the Bears to make the playoffs and Justin Fields have a good year. I mean, the package is a package. Either way, it could turn into, it's just a fucking mystery box. Like, of player draft picks are just that. They're Marvin Harrison Jr. The guy we pick at pick 20 could be just as good as Marvin Harrison Jr. was. So it's just a lottery ticket to me. And in reality, if there was somebody we really wanted, we would have two first round picks anyway. The Carolina's not going to be worse than top 10, so we'd have pick 6 and pick if we made the wild card 21, and we could trade those to get whatever we wanted. Really,
I understand, but when you're taking a look at, let's just say they're 9-8, and they just missed that wild card spot or whatever, and you take that number 1 overall pick and you trade it for more assets. Now you said it's a lottery ticket. Now you have more shots at that lottery ticket to build on that 9-8 team and potentially build it into a dynasty. So instead of a 9-8 wild card, just appearance where they lose, now you're building for the future, and you have a potential, instead of being 9-8 for the next year, now you have the potential of going 12-5, winning the NFC North, getting a first round bye, hosting a playoff game, going to, you know what I'm saying? I
kind of see what you're saying, but even the number one, let's say whoever we get in the first round, more than likely is not going to be unless it's Marvin Harrison Jr. And even then, what rookie do you add that catapults you into the best team in the NFC?
Because I want to be like Philadelphia, where we can be in the talent acquisition phase and still be a good team and still pick in the top 10 and be able to take a chance on somebody like Jalen Carter.
But what I'm talking about is what I just said happened with they made the playoffs and they got like a top 10 pick, and it was fine. Yeah, sure, they would have won. Yeah, it would have been nice to have the number 1 overall pick and do whatever the hell you did with it. But I feel like when you have a playoff team, good players will want to come play on your team, and also you can trade some of these picks to get good, like AJ Browns and JJ Watts and these guys that will be good and be better than any rookie you're going to get, and then make your push.
Yeah, but they're not building that way.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. I'm just saying. I understand that, and I know if Ryan Poles could have his way, I think he would think the same as you, that he wants that number 1 overall pick again. And so I know he doesn't want to lose, but his job's safe, and if he gets that number 1 overall pick again, the Bears will be built into something that will last for a long time. So I'm not saying that I don't. I just think I would be more happy that we made the playoffs and Justin Fields was looking good. Then
if you were to ask me, like, would I rather the Carolina Panthers be the worst team in the league and get the number 1 overall pick, or make a Super Bowl run and Justin Fields play out of his mind? That's a different story.
Yeah.
If it's just a wild card appearance, I'm going to take the number 1 overall pick. I get what you're saying, because it's still exciting either way.
Yeah.
If they make the wild card this year and Justin Fields plays out of his mind, I'm probably singing a different tune, because I'm going to be pumped and thinking the fact that, hey, this team has maybe they can make a New York Giants type of run where they go into the wild card and make a Super Bowl run.
Yeah,
It's possible.
Yes, and like I said, and a Bears fan dream, both of those things happen. In reality, we could win the Super Bowl and they'd be the worst team in the league. So, and the Panthers probably, I don't think they will be. I think Andy Dalton's a quality signing. I think they have a really good defense. So realistically, I don't see them being worse than.
I think they go 6-11.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be worse than 5. So
yeah, I'd agree with that.
I guess Andy Dalton won't be starting, but a rookie quarterback not going to win that many games. He's just going to lose some. But I think he'll win 5 or 6 and we'll be top 5. I think Arizona will be 1, just because I don't know what the hell they're going to roll out there with.
I think, yeah, and then Tampa number 2. Probably.
Oh yeah, Tampa. I think I like Baker. They got Baker, right?
Yeah.
I've got a soft spot for Baker, even though he's a little bum, but I like he's got some dog in him, where I like quarterbacks like that who just feel like they would go out there and hit stick somebody who threw it.
You're a fan of Johnny Manziel?
Yeah, I like Johnny. I not so much in college. I'm always a fan of guys that people give a hard time to. He was a freaking knucklehead. I won't excuse that behavior, but I think he got a lot of pressure on him, and that just helped him be more of a knucklehead, because they were like, well, that's what everyone's expecting me to do, so it's easy to just go do it. But I like Johnny Manziel, and I think I thought if they would have like drafted Mike Evans instead of Denzel Ward, or was it Denzel Ward that year? No, forgot who they
Denzel
drafted
Ward was
first.
fourth overall, I
Yeah, who
thought.
did they draft that year? I thought they should have drafted Mike Evans and Johnny Manziel. And I think that would have been good. They could have done that. Um, but I do like Baker for some reason. I hate the Browns, and
I do too, though. I really do like Baker Mayfield. I
he's
know,
a little cocky prick sometimes, but like I like
there's just something about him.
yeah, I like football players who like I said got that dog in them where they're like
It's like,
talking shit and
yeah, it's like Gardner Minshew.
yeah, like I like
I,
that a little bit. So I think they will fight. They have a really good team too. So if Baker's plays, you know what I mean, just average what he normally plays, I don't think they'll be the worst team in the league either. I think they're going to be competitive and win 6 or 7 games and scare a few people a couple times. They still got Mike Evans and Godwin. They moved off those guys. They got Worth. They still got quality O line. They got Devin White and quality defense. I don't see them being terrible. That terrible. Yeah, they don't. They're not going to be super awful. And like I said, unless Baker is just dog shit. So I think it'll be more like ATL or Arizona. I just really think one of them will be number one. I don't think. Like I said, I don't Carolina. I don't think Bryce Young is going to be this crazy good guy they say he is, but I think he's good enough to win some games.
Yeah, it's gonna. Like I said, I have Carolina probably pegged at 6 or 7 wins.
Yeah,
I think that whole division. I think the division is New Orleans to lose because they have the most proven quarterback.
yeah, and vets on defense too.
Yeah, and they got a good coach. Dennis Allen's a good coach. I
Michael,
mean,
yeah, Michael Thomas, they'll be all right.
yeah, he's a good coach. You know, they got Chris Olave, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on with Alvin Kamara? But in New Orleans, that home field advantage is something. I don't have any factor cap this week, but I know you wanted to go on a little bit of a rant for the Chicago White Sox.
Oh yeah, just god awful. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
They've completely fallen apart at the seams. The pitching sucks. They can't hit for power. They can't get on base. They can't walk. They can't throw strikes. The entire team has completely gone off the rails. This is probably one of the biggest failures in the history of the Chicago White Sox.
It is just awful. Our roster is so good. I mean, outside of the bullpen, but we have quality starting pitching. I mean, on paper, like looking at it going into the season, we have a quality rotation, not the best, but I would say a little bit better than middle of the pack, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a super baseball expert, but I'm familiar with most of these guys. Our lineup, top to bottom's got to be top 10. Just looking at all these guys, and they just can't put it together. Jimenez continues to get injured. Like you said, these guys are not getting on base. I don't know if they're not buying into this new guy's coaching or what. I don't know if it's the culture, but it just looks like it's time for a rebuild. I mean, get rid of these guys. They don't want to play. We might as well just get some young guys out there and have some fun. If guys are going to be inconsistent,
it's time for Jerry to sell the team. It's time for Rick Hahn to go. I mean,
I don't think Jerry's going to ever sell the team. Rick Hahn's probably out of there soon.
The only two people on the entire roster, I think, right now that are untouchable, even though he's having a shit year right now, is Dylan Cease and Luis Robert. Everybody else is up for grabs. It's just I don't understand how you completely fumble the bag on what was supposed to be, and you can't blame the hiring of Tony La Russa now. You can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
So I mean, he looks like he was doing a great job based on what the hell's going on right now.
They should have never fired Renneria.
No.
They made the playoffs with Renneria. They had a 93-win year, and they fired him.
For Tony La Russa coming off a DUI.
And if I continue with this, I'm going to go on a tangent. We don't have the time. We will have to do just a whole 30 minutes on the White Sox. I can't. It's going to give me a fucking aneurysm, and I'm way too young to have a stroke right now. So I don't want to really dig too much into them because they're literally the biggest pieces of shit in Chicago right now. And they're unwatchable, completely unwatchable. But we'll end it on a happy note. The Blackhawks got the number 1 overall pick, Connor Bedard. It's as good as that was probably the easiest thing that any prediction could have been made was Connor Bedard going number one. He's supposed to be a generational talent. They're saying he's more of a better prospect than Sidney Crosby was coming out.
That's saying a lot.
So
Crosby was nasty.
yes, this kid, I'm not the hockey fan. I don't watch a lot of hockey. You're more, watching who. If you had to compare Connor Bedard to a casual fan in terms of a prospect,
I would have said Crosby. I didn't hear that about him because I watched his highlights, a lot of his highlights as of right before the draft, right before the lottery, and I didn't get Crosby. Crosby, I thought was just like another, like kind of like Andrew Luck, where like Bedard's not as big as Crosby, I don't think, but he is really good. He reminds me of like a slightly better Taves, better on offense. Taves was a way better two-way player. He grew into it, but I think he will play similar to that. Just you know what I mean? He's a generational type of guy. He's got, I guess, a little Kane in him. He's got a bigger build than him too. It's more offense though, but I guess prospect wise, I guess would say Crosby. I don't remember what the prospect Taze was. I know, I mean, obviously he was a high prospect, but I didn't really follow uh, college and youth, well, not youth, but like the Canadian hockey circuit like I do now. That was Taze and Kane put that in me. So I don't know what kind of prospects they were, but I just remember Crosby being like, watching his highlight tape, and he was doing crazy shit like putting it up on a stick and scooping it behind the goalie's shoulder, over his shoulder, and like
I remember Crosby when I remember the hype surrounding Crosby
yeah.
was, this kid's the next Gretzky.
Yeah, I didn't get that. People are saying that about Bedard, and maybe I mean hockey as a whole has evolved. So like on the younger levels, there aren't a lot of guys who look like Crosby because they're all good. I mean, like he could clearly better than them, but you're not doing crazy Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky type stuff because now all the high school kids are good, all the college kids are good. It's I mean the game has evolved just like every other sport. But like I said, I didn't get Crosby when I was watching. Crosby was like the Andrew Luck prospect to me, where like he was like the best prospect ever. Like you knew that this kid was going to be a stud. He was big, he was strong, he was fast, and I want to look that up. Bedard on video didn't look as big as
Well, that's why I was asking is that
Crosby.
there's a lot of hype. This is like the Andrew Luck hype surrounding Connor Bedard. This is even the Victor Wembanyama hype. Like this is franchise altering.
Yeah, he's 5'10", 185. Let me see what Crosby was.
Five ten, 185 is tiny.
Yeah, like that's what I said. I didn't get Crosby when I saw Crosby was bigger than people. Like he was a big guy. Well, I remember watching like when he compared to the guys who were on the ice. Oh no, he was 5'11", 200 pounds. So not too much bigger.
But he's also an 18-year-old kid. He's going to grow into his body.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, he looks again. I'm far from an expert on hockey, I don't watch a ton of them. I'm just watching the highlights. I'm not watching his games beginning to end. I'll catch one every now and again, but that's not something that's showing up on my local news feed. I wasn't really thinking the Blackhawks were going to get the number one overall pick, so I didn't care. But it was just weird that had been the conspiracy all year. I just remember hearing that all year. The NHL, when Kane wanted to be traded and Taze said he was going to retire, everyone was like, the NHL's rigged. They're going to make sure that the Blackhawks get the number one overall pick. And I do think it's needed. I don't think hockey was ever as popular. Well, not ever, but as of late, as popular as when the Blackhawks were winning. I know it was even more so exaggerated because we're from here. But I think as a whole, on a grand scale, hockey was doing a lot better when the Blackhawks were doing good. It's one of the original six. It's like when the Bruins are doing good, the Rangers win. Like everyone's gonna love it. Nobody cares when the freaking Tampa Bay Lightning.
Florida.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning win. Nobody cares. Like I know nobody gives a shit when they win, but when the Blackhawks win, it was a big fucking deal. So I get that conspiracy where they want. I know the NHL wants the Blackhawks to be good, and I most certainly do too. I fell in love with hockey when those kids came to town, and really, I've always liked it, watched it. We played the games. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't really something you played in my neighborhood growing up. Even when I moved into the whiter neighborhoods, none of them were playing hockey. Everybody's still playing football. So I never was something that I would get into, but I do love the game. And when there's nothing like when the Blackhawks are winning and going to those games and watching those games. It was awesome. So I'm dying for that to get back. The city deserves better. I hope the Bears can finally turn it around. They got some competent, but the city as a whole, well, besides with the Sky, we're just getting our asses kicked. None of the teams are really
Even the
going.
Sky are rebuilding, man.
Yeah, but like they won what a year and a half ago or something like that last
Yeah,
year.
two
Yeah,
years
so
ago with Candace Parker.
yeah, so that was the last time anything really good happened. The Sox like got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs 2 years ago. Like that's like the best. The Cubs have sucked since they won the World Series. The Bears have been in shambles. It's basically the same. The Bears are suck, and every fifth year we do okay, and then the year after that we make the playoffs and suck, and then we really suck for 3 years, and then we do it again. I hope we can break that cycle. I think the Bears are getting out of it. We got a good GM, but the Sox are miserable. The Bulls, miserable state. Cubs, rebuild. Blackhawks, rebuild. Luckily, they got an exciting player, but most of these guys, we're in rebuilds and we don't have anybody to be excited about. I think the city deserves better. I think these owners need to get their heads out of their asses and make better moves. I think they're being too greedy. Maybe the White Sox, not so much because they don't get the guaranteed ticket sales and sellouts like everybody else, but none of the other owners have any excuse for not spending every dime they have to and turning over every rock and making every phone call they have to get quality players to make a run. Like you said, the fans deserve better. This is just miserable. The White Sox is just like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I don't even know. It's like, what is there? It's like, is it coaching? These guys don't care. Like, it's a culmination of like all of you guys just not giving a fuck, and it's embarrassing. Like, I don't know. I would be embarrassed. Like, there's teams with fucking a tenth of the talent we have and are just doing fine. And these guys can't even get their heads out of their asses, can't pitch, can't hit, can't coach, can't GM, can't stay healthy. It's just
You take a look at Tampa. They're the best team in baseball, and they've got half the payroll. And a lot of it has to. I just don't think the players want to be there. I don't think they like the manager. I don't think they like
the coach,
the
whatever's
pitching
going on.
coaches. I mean, you know who the pitching coach is, right? The pitching coach is Lucas Giolito's high school pitching coach. He doesn't have a single day of professional, pitching coach or any kind of, experience whatsoever. It's
We
Lucas
have Giolito.
Giolito's high
He's not
school
even our
pitching
team
coach.
anymore, right?
No,
Or
he
no?
is.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He leads our team in ERA with a 3.67 ERA. Like, if your team leader is a 3.67 ERA, there's a fucking problem. Like, it's just, I'm not gonna get started.
Yeah. But that was it. Not much going on. We're just sitting, waiting for polls to make a move, for training camp to start. When those tickets go on sale, we're going to do our best to try and get out there, make some real content. Like I said, get us a GoPro. Maybe we'll go out there, sign some autographs, try and get some sound bites. But I definitely want to take my family and go, and it would be nice if we all could go.
Absolutely.
But until next week, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. You stay tuned all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week, hopefully with some more exciting news and maybe a handful of White Sox wins.
Yeah, doubt it.
Adios. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning.